Your dog just shoved its nose into a stranger's crotch at a dinner party. You're mortified. Everyone's looking at you. But here's the truth. Your dog wasn't being rude. They were reading that person's entire life story in under 3 seconds. And that's just one of 14 things your dog does every single day that most owners never fully understand. Welcome to Canine Mind World. Subscribe right now, because what we cover here will genuinely change how you see your dog. Today we're going through 14 of the most baffling, embarrassing, and fascinating things dogs do, and the real science behind every single one of them. Some of these will surprise you. Some will make you laugh, and at least one of them will make you look at your dog completely differently. Let's get into it. Number 1. Why does your dog walk in circles before lying down? Your dog finds the perfect spot on the couch. Instead of simply settling in, they circle. 3 times, 5 times, sometimes 10. Around and around before finally dropping down like the location has been thoroughly approved. This behavior is tens of thousands of years old. Before domestication, dogs slept outside, with no shelter, no blanket, and no guarantee of safety. Circling served 3 separate functions, all essential to survival. First, it flattened the grass or vegetation beneath them, creating a warm, compressed sleeping surface that held body heat through the night. Second, the movement scared away whatever might be hiding in that vegetation. Snakes, scorpions, insects, rodents, creatures that could cause serious harm to a sleeping animal. Third, and most cleverly, the circling helped the dog determine wind direction so they could orient their nose toward any approaching threat. A sleeping dog facing the wind gets a few extra seconds of warning. In the wild, a few seconds could mean survival. The couch in your living room poses none of these threats, but the program is still running. Thousands of years of evolution encoded this behavior so deeply that modern comfort hasn't touched it. The number of circles tends to reflect how tired or anxious the dog is in that moment. More anxious dogs circle more. It's the ancient safety checklist, and it never stops running. Number 2. Why does your dog eat grass and then vomit? You're on a walk. Your dog drops their head and starts grazing like a small, confused sheep, then vomits on your shoes. Owners have panicked about this for decades, assuming something is seriously wrong. The reality is far less alarming and far more interesting. Vets used to believe grass eating was always a response to stomach illness. Modern research completely dismantled that assumption. Only 25% of dogs actually vomit after eating grass. For the vast majority, it has nothing to do with nausea. It's an instinctive feeding behavior inherited from wild ancestors who consumed entire prey animals, including the stomach contents of herbivores, which were packed with plant fiber and trace minerals that modern dry kibble simply doesn't provide. Grass also contains folic acid, which supports healthy blood cell production. Many dogs are compensating nutritionally for what their processed diet is missing. They're not panicking. They're self-medicating through instinct. The dogs who do use grass to induce vomiting, they're doing it deliberately, choosing the tougher, wider blades more likely to irritate the stomach lining rather than the soft, tender shoots they'd graze on casually. That's not random behavior. That's a dog who knows their own body and is using the tools available to them. The only real concern is pesticides or fertilizer. If the lawn's been treated, keep them away from it. Otherwise, your grazing dog is doing something completely natural. Number 3. Why does your dog bury bones in toys? You give your dog a bone. They sniff it with great enthusiasm. Then they carry it to the backyard and bury it. The food bowl is full. There's no shortage. So why hide it? This behavior is called caching, and it's wired into dogs from an era when food was never guaranteed. Wolves and wild canines hunted successfully only some of the time. After a large kill, they buried the excess. Underground storage slowed decomposition, kept the smell hidden from scavengers and rival predators, and created a reserve for the days when nothing was caught. The burial site wasn't paranoia. It was a savings account. A behavioral study from the University of Florida in 2017 confirmed that even well-fed domestic dogs display caching behavior when presented with high-value items. The instinct activates automatically, not out of hunger, but out of deeply encoded genetic programming that doesn't know the hunt is over. Dogs often forget where they bury things. Their spatial memory for hidden objects is genuinely weak compared to animals like squirrels. This is why you sometimes find a completely forgotten bone months later in a corner of the yard. Terriers and hounds are especially prone because they were historically bred to pursue animals into burrows. The digging instinct is doubly reinforced. Apartment dogs adapt creatively. No yard, no problem. Treats get buried under sofa cushions and wedged beneath pillows. The ancient program runs, even in a studio apartment. Number 4. Why does your dog chase their own tail? A puppy spots something moving behind them and launches into a spinning, twirling pursuit of their own tail. Objectively, one of the funniest things a dog does. But the causes range from completely harmless to something worth paying close attention to. In puppies, it's pure exploration. They don't yet understand the tail is attached to them. It moves. It's interesting. They chase it. Normal developmental play resolves naturally as they mature. In adult dogs, the picture gets more complicated. Boredom is the most common driver. A dog without adequate physical and mental stimulation will manufacture entertainment. And tail chasing is easy, always available, and reliably catches the owner's attention. Which brings in the second driver, reinforcement. Owners laugh. They film it. They call other people over to watch. Every positive reaction tells the dog this behavior works, and it gets repeated. But compulsive tail chasing in adult dogs can signal something more serious. A 2012 study in Applied Animal Behavior Science found that obsessive tail chasing closely resembles human OCD, linked to anxiety, stress, or genetic predisposition, particularly in bull terriers. It can also indicate physical causes, fleas, skin allergies, infected anal glands, or neurological conditions. If it's daily or uncontrollable, that's a veterinary conversation, not an entertainment opportunity. Number 5. Why does your dog howl when they hear a siren? An ambulance goes by. Your dog's head snaps up. They launch into a full, sustained howl that follows the pitch of the siren across the block. People joke their dog is tone deaf. The actual explanation is the opposite. Their dog is hearing it too well. Howling is long-distance communication. Wolves use it to signal location across distances of up to 10 kilometers. Emergency sirens fall within the 450 to 750 Hz frequency range, which overlaps almost exactly with the natural howling range of wolves and domestic dogs, confirmed by a 2020 acoustic analysis in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior. Your dog is not being annoyed by the sound. They're not trying to make it stop. Their brain is telling them that's a howl from a distant pack member, and they're responding. The message they're sending back is simple. I hear you. I'm here. This is where I am. What's particularly elegant is how they respond. Each wolf in a pack chooses a slightly different pitch to avoid unison, producing harmonics that carry further and convey more information. Dogs do the same thing with sirens. They're not matching the sound. They're harmonizing with it. Huskies, Malamutes, and Beagles retain the most wolf-like vocal range and respond most consistently. But this behavior shows up across virtually all breeds. It's one of the clearest windows into just how close to their wild origins dogs still are. Number 6. Why does your dog roll in grass, mud, or things that smell terrible? You've bathed your dog. They smell like lavender. You take them outside, and within 60 seconds they're on their back, wriggling ecstatically in something you can't identify and don't want to. You've been defeated. This is scent masking, and it goes back to predatory survival. Wild canines rolled in mud, decomposing material, or the markings of other animals before hunts to disguise their own smell. Prey animals detect predators by scent. A dog that smells like the forest floor rather than like a dog has a significant advantage. A 2016 study in Chemical Senses found that many commercial pet shampoos contain synthetic compounds that dogs experience as aggressively foreign, loud artificial signals that feel wrong to an animal whose olfactory system is wired for natural scents. The bath doesn't feel clean to the dog. It feels like a disguise they need to remove. Rolling also satisfies purely physical needs. It scratches areas they can't reach with their paws or teeth. Cool, damp earth regulates body temperature on hot days. The pressure of rolling on their back releases muscular tension in a way that functions much like stretching does for us. And sometimes, it's just joy. Rolling in an open outdoor space is often pure arousal and happiness. The canine version of throwing your arms wide open and spinning in a field. Not everything has a survival explanation. Some of it is just a dog being completely unself-consciously happy. If you're learning something new about your dog today, hit subscribe. Canine Mind World is where we break down what your dog is actually trying to tell you. Now let's keep going. Number 7. Why do dogs sniff each other's backsides when they meet? Two dogs meet. Before any play or posturing, both dogs go directly to each other's rear end. Their owners look at their shoes. But to the dogs, this is the most efficient greeting system imaginable. Under the tail are the anal glands, which produce a chemical signature as individual and specific as a fingerprint. In a 3-second sniff, a dog extracts gender, age, health status, emotional state, reproductive condition, social rank, recent diet, and general stress levels. A complete biographical profile, no words, no gestures required. Dogs possess the vomeronasal organ, also called Jacobson's organ, which processes pheromone-based chemical information at a level we can barely comprehend. A study from the University of Colorado found this organ's sensitivity to hormonal markers is approximately 50 times greater than the equivalent human capability. The social etiquette around this greeting is precise. The dominant dog sniffs first, while the subordinate waits. Allowing another dog to sniff without resistance signals trust and openness. Refusing, pulling away, tucking the tail, signals fear, insecurity, or potential aggression. What looks chaotic to us is actually a highly structured social exchange. Both dogs know the rules. They're just the only ones in the room following them. Number 8. Why does your dog lick your face so enthusiastically? You walk through the door and your dog is immediately on you. Tongue on your face, your chin, your nose, covering as much surface area as possible before you can even put your bag down. This is partly love, and partly something much older. Wolf pups lick the mother's muzzle to trigger regurgitation of partially digested food. It was how pups were fed after weaning. The action of licking the muzzle of a senior pack member became one of the earliest learned behaviors associated with nourishment, care, and connection, and it carried into adulthood as a sign of deference and social bonding. A 2014 study in behavioral processes found that adult dogs displayed significantly more facial licking toward individuals they considered socially superior or emotionally important, supporting the interpretation that it functions as both affection and an acknowledgement of leadership. But it's also data collection. Your skin carries everything you've been doing. Where you went, who you were near, what you ate, whether you're stressed. Research from Queen's University Belfast showed that dogs can detect stress hormones in human sweat and breath with over 90% accuracy. When you're anxious, they lick more because they're picking up the chemical signal and responding directly to it. And licking releases endorphins in the dog's brain. It calms them. After the stress of separation, the act of licking you is as self-soothing as it is affectionate. They're comforting you and themselves at the same time. Number 9. Why does your dog tilt their head when you talk to them? You say something to your dog and they tilt their head to one side. Expression-focused, earnest, like they're genuinely trying to parse every syllable. It's irresistible, but the reason is practical before it's cute. In longer muzzled breeds, the snout partially blocks the lower visual field. Tilting the head shifts that obstruction and allows the dog a cleaner view of the lower half of your face, the area around your mouth and jaw where the most readable emotional expressions occur. Dogs are extraordinary readers of human facial expressions, and they've evolved to optimize that reading. A 2021 study in animal cognition demonstrated that dogs process human facial expressions through a mechanism strikingly similar to how human infants do, using emotional context from faces to understand what the person intends or needs. Head tilting also improves directional hearing. Changing the angle of the ear canal helps the dog triangulate the precise source of your voice. Research from Eötvös-Loránd University showed that dogs who were gifted word learners, dogs who could identify toys by name, tilted their heads significantly more frequently, suggesting the gesture reflects genuine auditory processing, not just a pose. And then there's the reinforcement layer. You adore the head tilt. You react warmly every time. Your dog has learned that this specific physical posture generates exactly the response they want from you. They're not performing it cynically, but they have absolutely noticed that it works. Number 10. Why does your dog whimper and twitch their legs while sleeping? Your dog is asleep. Suddenly their legs begin to move, running movements, fast and purposeful, while small sounds escape them. Soft barks, whimpers, growls. You want to wake them, worried something's wrong. Don't. Dogs dream. This is established by research, not just assumption. A 2001 MIT study demonstrated that animals replay daily experiences during REM sleep, with follow-up research from Harvard confirming that dogs show virtually identical neural patterns during sleep, including the same rapid eye movement phase where vivid dreaming occurs. During REM sleep, dogs consolidate memories, process the experiences of the day, and rehearse instinctive behaviors. The leg movements are running, The sounds are responses to whatever is happening in the dream. Chasing the squirrel from the morning walk, playing with another dog, hearing a sound they recognized. Their brain is actively working, not malfunctioning. Waking a dog during REM sleep risks a startle response. A dog pulled suddenly from deep sleep may snap or growl involuntarily. Not from aggression, but from the disorientation of abrupt awakening, exactly as a human might shout or flail when startled from deep sleep. Neuroscientists believe dogs dream specifically about their owners. Research from the National Sleep Foundation in 2015 found that dogs show heightened REM activity after strong positive emotional interactions with their people. The content of that dream is probably you. Number 11. Why does your dog scratch and dig at the floor or couch before lying down? Beyond circling, many dogs scratch vigorously at the surface they're about to sleep on, clawing at the cushion, dragging at the blanket, rearranging everything before settling. Sometimes they'll scratch at a hardwood floor that clearly cannot be moved. It seems pointless. It isn't. Digging before sleep is the companion behavior to circling. Wild canines dug into soil to reach the cooler, more temperature-stable earth beneath the surface in hot weather. In winter, they dug depressions that shielded their body from wind. A 2019 study in mammalian biology found that wild canines perform pre-rest digging behaviors over 80% of the time regardless of climate, confirming it as a deeply encoded survival strategy, not a weather-dependent habit. Scratching also deposits scent markers from glands in the paw pads. When a dog claws at a surface before sleeping, they're simultaneously marking the area as their territory. The sleeping spot becomes claimed space. Pregnant females intensify this behavior dramatically as part of nesting instinct. And critically, even spayed females who have never been pregnant still exhibit the same behavior, which confirms it is genetically encoded, independent of hormonal state. If the digging becomes excessive or destructive outside of sleep preparation, it often points to insufficient physical stimulation or anxiety that needs to be addressed. Number 12. Why does your dog hide during thunderstorms? The storm hasn't started yet. You haven't heard anything, but your dog has already disappeared under the bed, pressed into the farthest corner, panting. 30% of dogs experience significant thunderstorm anxiety, and the intensity tends to increase with age rather than diminish. Here's why. The experience of a thunderstorm is fundamentally different for a dog than it is for a human, and the difference is overwhelming. Dogs detect thunder at frequencies humans cannot perceive, meaning the storm begins for them significantly earlier than it begins for us. Confirmed by a 2015 study from Penn State University. They also sense the drop in atmospheric pressure that precedes a storm, registering the environmental change as a threat before any sound arrives. Then there's the static. A dog's fur accumulates static electricity during electrical storms. Research published in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior identified that this buildup produces tiny electrical discharges along the dog's coat. Small, uncomfortable shocks felt across the body. Enclosed spaces with grounded surfaces, under the bed, inside a closet, provide relief from this sensation. The dog isn't hiding from sound. They're grounding themselves against the physical discomfort of the static. Dogs with thick or long coats suffer more because dense fur traps more static charge than short hair. That's not temperament. That's physics. Number 13. Why does your dog bring you objects without being asked? You come home and your dog is at the door, tail going, with a shoe in their mouth. Not chewing it, just carrying it, offering it. Or they bring a ball at a moment when no one was thinking about playing. Or they drag their food bowl across the floor toward you 2 hours before dinner. In a wolf pack, lower-ranking members bring portions of prey to dominant members as offerings, gestures of respect, loyalty, and acknowledgement of social hierarchy. Your dog is doing the same thing, offering an object to the person they recognize as their pack leader. The gift itself is symbolic. The act is the message. Retrieving breeds, Labradors, Golden Retrievers, Spaniels, are especially consistent about this because the carrying behavior was selectively reinforced in their genetics for centuries. A 2018 genetic study from the University of Edinburgh identified specific gene clusters linked to retrieving behavior that remain active in modern breeds, entirely independent of whether any hunting context exists. But all dogs have learned the secondary function. Bringing an object to a human generates warmth, attention, praise, and engagement. The behavior is both instinctive and socially reinforced. The dog carries the shoe to the door not only as an offering, but because experience has taught them that this specific action reliably produces the reaction they want from you. Number 14. Why does your dog sniff strangers in the most embarrassing possible location? Your guest walks in. Your dog goes directly to their groin. Nose in. Full commitment. Zero social awareness. You apologize. Your guest laughs awkwardly. Your dog is entirely unbothered. To your dog, this is not inappropriate. It is simply the most efficient possible greeting. The human groin contains the highest concentration of apocrine sweat glands anywhere on the body. These glands produce pheromones and chemical markers that carry a remarkable density of personal information. From a single focused sniff, a dog can read gender, emotional state, stress levels, reproductive hormones, general health markers, recent diet, and in documented cases, pregnancy, early-stage diabetes, and certain cancers. Medical alert dogs use this exact capability professionally, detecting blood sugar changes and hormonal shifts before they become clinically apparent. A 2019 chemical analysis study from Georgia Tech confirmed that apocrine sweat carries unique hormonal markers that dogs detect with astonishing precision. The vomeronasal organ processes these chemical signals with sensitivity 50 times greater than anything humans possess. Dogs show particular sustained interest in pregnant individuals, people under significant stress, and people whose hormonal profile has shifted for any reason. The greeting is not rude. It is not random. It is the dog using the most powerful sensory tool available to them to understand who has just entered their space. To them, skipping this step would be like you greeting someone without looking at their face. Here's what all 14 of these behaviors have in common. Not one of them is random. Not one of them is confused. Not one of them is meaningless. Every circle before sleep. Every grass blade eaten. Every buried bone. Every howl aimed at a passing siren. Every nose pressed into an uncomfortable location. Each one is the product of tens of thousands of years of evolution, survival logic, and sensory sophistication that humans are still working to fully understand. Your dog doesn't do anything without a reason. The stranger the behavior, the more interesting the reason tends to be. So tell us in the comments, which of these does your dog do? And is there something your dog does that we haven't covered yet? Because there's always something. Drop it below. Share this with someone who has a dog and can't figure out why it does what it does. And subscribe to Canine Mind World because we are just getting started.